Inflatables somehow have a mind of their own that goes against the natural law of being tethered. We were born in the condition of being tethered, tied, and connected. Some are easier to detach from than others. Could we borrow the potential of the inflatable to also depart and leave from this tethered tied gravity? Without the ability to launch ourselves directly into the sky, it is instead easier to own and identify with the persona that possesses the desirable qualities of an untethered being in the air. In 1981, Tony the Tiger leapt from the land into the air. He was a project of corporate and eugenic endorsement of the cereal diet to create a biologically healthy lifestyle for the white race. Kellogg's, the company and the founder, co-founded the Race Betterment Foundation in 1906 in Battle Creek. In this advertisement, we can see how Tony, on behalf of Kellogg's, is rotoscoped as a hero as he saves the troubled children. In the 1980s, Kellogg's launched Tony the Tiger, the hot air balloon program. It became one of the most successful corporate balloon campaigns of its time, flying across American and international skies for 22 years.
It's a great way to transport the secret formula for Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flake cereal.
I spotted the tiger, sir. Quick, after the formula.
The formula makes a delicious part of this nutritious breakfast.
The secret taste of Frosted Flakes makes Tony say,
They're great!
Think they learned their lesson, Tony?
I say they got the point.
The form and image of an inflatable gives that body of air a persona. Tony stayed afloat because he was embedded with the heroic, healthy traits of the wild tiger. The inflated persona is a strategic figure that grows to reinforce the authority of being untethered. In contemporary psychological warfare in Korea, since the 1950s, it has escalated notably since 2016 until now. There has been waves of inflatable exchange in the Korean Gulf. The South Korean-based NGOs initiated by North Korean defectors, those who had escaped, have deployed choco pies, USBs loaded with K-pop music, leaflets criticizing the North Korean leadership across the border. The North responded with its own gifts of sincerity. The most intense in May 2024, when they sent 260 balloons with trash and excrement. South Korean artist based in Berlin, Hanayu, recreated the sculptural installation with a lamb tethered to a hot air balloon, symbolizing the obedience and controlled masculinity that these balloons carried. Inflated personas made of air had a limit. Somehow they were still tethered to the chemical quality and capacity of what it was filled with, the raw medium of air. And yet this air has become elementally manipulated since 1915 in the first gas warfare at Ypres, Belgium, where German military released approximately 150 to 190 tons of chlorine gas against the French and Canadian troops. This identified a turning point in gas becoming an explicit tool of control and violence, as described by German philosopher Peter Sloterdijk in the book Terror in Air. This conditioning increasingly split the world into two groups: the explicit sleepers, those who were living in a safe space of immunized air, where they had means to isolate themselves from the chemically manipulated environment, and those implicit sleepers who were unable to alter the environment, therefore are vulnerable to the latent violence in the atmosphere, such as nuclear and long-term pollution in the air. Many artists have reacted to the Earth Day realization since the 1960s with inflatables such as the Ant Farm Collective, the Archogram Project, in this work in Parasite from 1998 to ongoing. The Iraqi-American artist Michael Rakovitz here creates shelter solutions for those vulnerable implicit sleepers with waste air from exhaust and simple manuals on constructing this inflatable shelter. After being able to control what we could inflate with, the urge to rise higher and closer to the sky was still strong. We come to the position to borrow the authority of the heightened perspective by launching our bodies itself into the sky, to be the weather spokesperson for the collective atmosphere we are experiencing. To go a little bit into the history of weather mapping in the West. In the 17th to 18th century, the written records by the weather enthusiasts remained. They were the ones who usually had the free time to observe the skies for at least 4 times a day for precise records. These were usually the colonialists, the industrialists, or the slave owners who were observing for the productivity of their colonies. In the fictional novel 5 Weeks in a Balloon in 1863 by Jules Verne, it narrates the British scholar Dr. Ferguson and his companion as they travel in a hot air balloon. They observe and come into conflict with the geography and culture of the African continent. His reports were in the interest of an atmospheric empathy, but more importantly, with an imperial eye. The landscape was remarkable for its extreme fertility. The balloon passed over fields of ripened tobacco, maize, and barley, a luxuriant vegetation, while the indigenous inhabitants were rendered savage. Weather was long instrumentalized through the detached gaze of an aerial science, as Dr. Ferguson represented, but it was also an embodied gaze. The body of the weather spokesperson experiences what is outside of the studio. They put their bodies into the different conditions of atmosphere for us to believe in their forecast. This embodied gaze can be affected by the political landscape we live in. As in this example by film director David Lynch in his theater weather reports. On the 2nd and 3rd of June 2020, he has in particularly become a performative human body that is situated in a political atmosphere. He reports weather from what he is thinking on the day.
Good morning. It's June 3, 2020, and it's a Wednesday. Here in LA, beautiful blue skies, a few wispy clouds, golden sunshine coming, very still, around 65 degrees Fahrenheit right now, 18 Celsius. Should get up to the mid-80s this afternoon, around 26 Celsius, sunshine all the way. Have a great day, everyone.
To recall the explicit group of sleepers or elites who have the means to create the earlier sanitized, immunized vacuum of safe air. They embody an obsession to gain a clearer perspective of the untethered reality they wanted to claim as truth. This acrophilic body receives arousal from being in heightened positions. They are not afraid of this verticality and detachment, and they will undertake all means to own the aerial perspective and properties of the sky space as a tool of control and surveillance. Isle Weisman, architect and director of forensic architecture, the research agency, addresses how power becomes a vertical sovereignty in the Israeli and Palestinian war, where they utilize the different jurisdiction in land and sky territory to their advantage in the invasion. Closely in the project Atmospheric Pressure by sound artist Lawrence Abu Hamdan, the acoustic experience of Lebanese residents living in psychological terror of sonic sound booms. Here, pollution is transcribed in this extensive inventory of aircrafts flown across Lebanese skies. And I realized that through these different inflated bodies of beings in air and perspectives in sky space, this illusion of a collective desire to be untethered was established. leaving the ground, the terrestrial, the land. But this was only a desire endorsed by those who had the capacity to leave and to be afloat. As Bruno Latour, the German philosopher, claims, since the world has been thrown off from its once united global horizon for multiple factors, one of the main being the United States announcing its leave from the Climate Accord in 2017.
I am fighting every day for the great people of this country. Therefore, in order to fulfill my solemn duty to protect America and its citizens, the United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord Thank you. Thank you.
We must move towards a new terrestrial on Earth to accommodate the global migratory crisis. I think the inflated and acrophilic persona has been playing an act to act free from all earthly responsibilities anticipated on them. Perhaps the reality for most is that we want to experience the untethered while still feeling responsible and tethered to the ground. I come back to the tethered high flyer balloon in Berlin as a representation of the inflated form I find relevant today for this speculated scenario of emergency event that could be in the upcoming future where the once inflated becomes unstable and we're forced into a state of ascent or landing. In this emergency, to inflate the life vest becomes one of the final acts of our survival instinct.